Hi, good morning. First of all, can we talk about this chair? I'm so in love with it. I just want to live in this chair. It's great. Today I'm talking about the stuff that I've been consuming, that I've been loving, books, movies, and TV. First book that I read since the last time I made one of these videos is People from My Neighborhood by Hiromi Kawakami. It's this tiny little book and it talks about the lives of the people from a small town neighborhood in Japan. It's basically a bunch of short stories that intertwine with one another as slowly you are getting to know the people from this neighborhood. A lot of the stories are quite bizarre, but it's just written so casually, so you just sort of accept things the way they are. But for me, what I really loved was just how nostalgic it made me feel. It reminded me of when I lived in the Japanese countryside, and it's just like the vibes were very that was really fun for me to read. But also it's like it is a beautiful little short casual mix of stories. I kind of see this book as like, if you love sitting in the park on a bench and people watching, it's kind of like that. That's what this book feels like. If you love people watching, maybe you should read this book. I don't know. Then the second book I read was D, A Tale of Two Worlds by Michelle Faber. Yes, I've been reading a lot of Michelle Faber. This feels like the modern version of a whimsical classic. I heard that this book was written as kind of an homage to Dickens, which it makes a lot of sense. Like, it feels very much like that. It also felt a little bit Alice in Wonderland-ish, but mostly because of like the storyline, I think. So it's got some Lewis Carroll in there too, I guess. It feels very classic, but like in a modern way. It's about this little girl called Dekilo, and she notices that all the D's, as in the letters D, are disappearing from the world, or disappearing from the world. People start calling her Ikilo and stuff, and you know, she's the only one that's noticing this. So with the help of her former history teacher and his dog slash sphinx, Nellie Robinson, she embarks on a journey to this land, this magical land, to find out where all the D's went. I know how it sounds. Yes, she's looking for the D. But it's not like that, okay? It's not like that. It's very cute and whimsical and fun. So much fun. And again, it's weird in the most believable way possible. I don't know how Michelle Faber does this, but that's like his thing. It's like the whole thing is absurd, but it all makes sense, and you just sort of go like, yeah, okay. It talks about bravery and freedom, and I also feel like it might be a little bit of a commentary on the current political climate our world is in right now. Like, I felt very much that, which I thought was brilliant and really well done. It's also not super long, so if you want to read a fantasy book, like real fantasy, but you don't want to read something that's like 600 pages long, this is for you. And then lastly, in the book department, I am reading Crooked Kingdom right now, the second book in the Six of Crows series, and I'm really liking it, but I'm only up to here, so I can't really talk about that yet. So then let's move into film. First thing I watched was Enola Holmes on Netflix. This apparently is based on a book. I didn't know that, but it's about the teenage sister of Sherlock Holmes who goes to London to find her missing mother. And then she just like gets wrapped up in this thing, whatever, like, because her mom has done some crazy stuff, and like she is discovering all that, and she has this, like, I wanted to say sidekick, but I don't know if you can call him a sidekick, but she meets this boy and they have really fun chemistry. I liked it all right, but I thought, I don't know, I think I just expected more. I thought the plot was really confusing. I thought it was maybe a little bit overworked, like a little bit overly complicated. I don't know what it was. Maybe I'm just stupid. And I also thought it was too long. Like, I got a little bit bored sometimes. But I did love the relationship between Enola and, oh, what's his name? Lord Tewkesbury? I think this movie gets like a 6.5 or a 7. Then I watched About Time, which is it a romantic comedy or a romantic drama? I don't know. I watched it for Valentine's Day because I heard that it was like a lot of people's favorite Valentine's Day movie. It's so beautiful. Oh wow. It's about this young man who's played by Donald Gleason, which is great. Love that guy. And he has the ability to time travel. all the men in his family have the ability to time travel. It kind of talks about how he handles having that power, and it focuses a lot on a relationship that he has with a woman, and it follows them through their lives as their relationship progresses and stuff, and it's so beautifully done. It's so unexpected as well. Like, the story really doesn't go where you think it's gonna go. You never know what to expect, and I think that's so wonderful about this movie. I find it really original. I also really love the characters. Like, I just love all of them so much. Like, the love interest is played by Rachel McAdams. I love her. She's great in this. But my favorite character was the dad of the main character, who's played by Bill Nye, and I mean, everything Bill Nye does is great. The relationship he has with his son really, like, hit me hard. It was so beautiful to watch. Also, a great soundtrack. A+ soundtrack. Then I watched The Blind Side. It's based on a true story. It's the story of Michael Oher, who is this black kid who grew up, you know, in really unfortunate setting, and he gets adopted by a wealthy white family, and they sort of help him realize his full potential when it comes to American football, and he ends up becoming like this big football star. So it's kind of like an inspiring story in that way. The reason I was so excited to watch this was because Sandra Bullock was in it, and I really like Sandra Bullock. I love the way she portrays her character. She plays this really strong-willed, rich, white housewife. She's the one that brings Michael into her home and really, like, stands up for him. I love the way she portrayed her character. I think she did a really, really good job. However, as I was watching, you know, even though it was like a really inspiring story and all, I couldn't help but feel like something was off. So this was apparently based on a book, and that book was based on the true story of Michael Oher, the real person. And, you know, both the book and the movie were created by white people. I can't help but feel like these works were created to sort of pat white people on the back, you know, just to be like, look at these kind white people helping out this poor black kid, you know? I don't know. And so, like, I did some research, right? Because I was wondering, like, you know, what's the deal with all of this? Apparently, Michael Oher, you know, the actual person, wasn't happy with the way that his story was portrayed, both in the book and the movie. And he wrote an autobiography in which he, like, talks about that stuff, which maybe I'll read because, you know, like, it's his story, not Hollywood's. Yeah, I don't know. The movie left me with, like, a very double feeling. Like, in a way, it was a beautiful story, and Sandy B did a great job. But yeah, I have thoughts. Then the next movie that I watched was a rewatch. I watched Peter Pan with my husband because he wanted to watch that. I don't have to talk about that. It's Peter Pan. If you know my channel, then you know I'm a little bit obsessed with Peter Pan. It's a great movie, 10 out of 10, you know, what can I say? Then I finally finished the new Star Wars trilogy. I watched The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in theaters back in the day, and then I just never watched Rise of Skywalker. Maybe because The Last Jedi left me feeling confused. But anyways, I rewatched all three movies, and, you know, The Force Awakens is fine. Honestly, I like The Force Awakens a lot. It's a really fun, lighthearted movie. Like, maybe not the most original, but it's just like a really fun movie. The Last Jedi is no. I mean, listen, I don't like how The Last Jedi just did a 180 on The Force Awakens. On its own, The Last Jedi is not like a terrible movie necessarily, but it's like, well, you already have The Force Awakens. You kind of have to, you can't just decide, well, I don't like this, so we're just gonna change everything. In The Last Jedi, what I did like was what they did with Kylo Ren and Rey's characters and, like, their relationship and how their character arcs were evolving. Like, I found that really interesting. I also thought Luke's character arc was really beautifully done. Everything else, not about it. I watched Rise of Skywalker for the first time just a couple days ago, and it's a mess of a movie. Listen, I kind of liked it though. Like, I'm kind of not mad about it. Like, I know that it's a bad, messy movie, but I still kind of really enjoyed it. Because, you know, it's like the big conclusion and, like, everybody joins in with the fighting, and it's just like, you know, I always love those final big battle movies, and this one, you know, they made it epic. The only problem is that none of the like epic, beautiful moments felt earned because this whole trilogy is such a mess. Like, you know, like for example, Lando showed up and I was like, oh, Lando. But like, that feels kind of cheap because like, obviously I'm gonna feel happiness when I see Lando, but like, why is he there? Or Palpatine being back, like, which in a way, like, that could have been really cool, but like, none of it's explained at all, which again, makes it feel really cheap. Rey being a Palpatine, like, that's cool and all, but like, please, it just explain it to me properly. From The Last Jedi to Rise of Skywalker, they just did a 180 again. And I get that that's because the director changed, but like, then just don't change the directors. I liked Kylo Ren and Rey in The Rise of Skywalker. I liked, again, what they did with their relationship. I thought that was a really beautiful arc. Also, Babu Frick is wonderful. I love the moment when Ben gets to talk to his dad. That redemption, the way he like repeated the lines from the, it's, you know, that was beautiful, but I don't know, man. It's just so messy, and they really did Poe and Finn dirty. Their friendship in the first one was so strong, and it was such a beautiful thing to witness, and then they were just kind of like, oh, no, we don't do that. I don't understand why they made the choices they made. Also, a lot of these movies could have been like an hour shorter. They were so long, and they did not need to be that long. Especially the last one, like they were just like hopping from planet to planet, meeting these new people that like technically are very interesting, but we don't really get the time to like get to know them. None of it's fleshed out. We hop onto that planet and it's like, hey, and then we're just supposed to like care about them. I just wish they would have stuck to the basics and the essence of the story and just execute it that well, instead of just trying to go in like 1,000 different directions but not fully executing anything. You know? I need to stop talking about Star Wars. Okay, lastly, let's talk about some TV. First thing I want to talk about is Psycho Jiman 괜찮아, or It's Okay Not to Be Okay in English. It's a very popular K-drama starring the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my entire life. It's a story about two young adult brothers who live together. One of them has autism. The other one, he works in a psychiatric hospital, but they move around a lot because of some trauma the autistic brother has regarding the murder of their mother. They meet this children's book author. She is gorgeous, but also, you know, psycho. Because, oh yeah, It's Not Okay to Be Okay is a really weird translation, I find, because when you directly translate the Korean title, it's like, It's Okay to Be Psycho, which makes more sense because it's okay to be psycho, or it's okay to have psychological problems, I suppose. I think that like explains the story a lot better, because this children's book author has a lot of like mental trauma and she acts out a lot. She's really explosive and angry and vengeful and like not a very likable character, but like very entertaining to watch. And then you've got these two brothers who also have a lot of trauma. What I liked the most about this is how it talked about mental health. That was really beautiful. I did not really care for the romance, I'm not gonna lie. I just wanted everyone to be okay in the end, especially Sang-tae, who is the brother with autism. I just love him so much, and I love all the side characters. I love all the patients in the hospital. There was a beautiful romance between like two other patients in the hospital. Love them. But yeah, I liked it. It didn't like blow me away or anything, but it was just really fun, but also hard-hitting, and like, I liked it a lot. Then I watched The Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince is an animated series on Netflix. It takes place in this fantasy world called Zadia. There's elves and humans and dragons. Our main characters are these two human brothers who work together with this elf to deliver a dragon egg that was stolen by the humans back to its mother. And by doing so, they want to restore peace to Zadia. I have to say, I watched the first season of this a couple years ago, back when it came out, and I wasn't that impressed with it, so I didn't keep watching. But then I think last month my husband wanted to start watching it, so we finally did start season 2, and oh my god, this shit really picks up from season 2. From season 2 onwards, I was obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. It's so cute and so fun, but then also really hard-hitting at times. Like, I cried. There's such a fun cast of characters that like you will just fall in love with everyone, and it's just so it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and I love it a lot. If you want to watch some like animated fantasy that's like not Japanese anime, The Dragon Prince. Then I watched something that I can't say I'm proud that I watched it, but I did watch all of it. I am up to date with The Adventures of Sabrina. If you don't know what it's about, it's the reboot of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's about witches who live between the humans, and it's really just it's a lot. Listen, I watched the first season and I quite liked it, mostly for the aesthetics. I even made a video about the whole thing. I made a video about the aesthetics because that's what draws me to this show. Season 1 was alright, but like then it just goes downhill from there. Like it just gets wild. And I mean like Riverdale wild, which makes sense because I think it's made by the same people. They just went full Riverdale on Sabrina, and like you can't take any of it seriously. I think if you do, you would just lose your sanity because none of it makes sense. There's still something campy and fun about it that keeps me watching because it's so over the top and it's so silly that it's just kind of like, yeah, okay. I wish I could like get together with my friends to watch this together so we could just all laugh at this show together. I also have to say there are some characters I really do love, like Prudence. I would do anything for Prudence. Same thing with Ambrose. Love Ambrose. Yeah, Prudence and Ambrose are probably the main reason I keep watching. Sabrina herself is a really annoying character. I don't like her. Yeah, man, like just watch it for the campiness. It's fine. And also kind of the aesthetic because it's kind of like spooky and Halloweeny, and I do love that. I mean, I am a Scorpio. Oh, and the last thing I watched is a series also on Netflix that's called Love. It is kind of like anti-rom-com. At least that's like how I've heard it being described. It's about these two people who live around Hollywood. They meet each other and they start a relationship, and it just follows their relationship. But like the way it's done, it's like it's very cynical. It's a very cynical, realistic, gritty, raw way of looking at relationships. So, you know, it's not romantic or anything like that. So if you know, so like there's definitely an audience for this. I actually found it quite refreshing as well, the way their relationship was portrayed. The guy who's called Gus, he works as a child actor tutor on set, which is really fun because you get to see like a lot of behind the scenes thing in like Hollywood, and like that's kind of a fun aspect. Me and my husband hated his character though. Like he was so annoying, but like in a fun way because we loved to just hate watch him and just like nitpick every single thing he did because he was so petty and annoying. I didn't like him.
I hate Gus. I detest Gus.
Yeah, we really did not like Gus.
No.
Gillian Jacobs, who plays the female lead, is great though. We loved her. I don't know, this was fun, and it's also nice to watch something that's not like an hour long per episode. Yeah, it was like a fun, casual thing to watch. And again, I loved how realistic it was because it was really relatable in a lot of ways. Still, once again, I've been talking for way too long. I'm not going to talk about music this time because if I did, this would be an hour-long video and nobody wants that. For now, that's gonna be all. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!